Right now, under your clothes, you are covered in hair. Millions of strands of it, head to toe. Almost everywhere a chimpanzee has hair. You just can't see most of it. Which raises a genuinely strange question about your own body. If the hair is still there, why does it look like it's gone? We call ourselves the naked ape. We are the only primate you can point at across a room and instantly say, that one forgot its coat. Gorillas have fur. Orangutans have fur. Your dog, your cat, the squirrel outside, all wrapped in it. And then there's us, standing around pink and exposed, acting like it's normal. Fur is one of the best inventions in the entire animal kingdom. It keeps you warm at night. It blocks the sun. It softens bites and scratches. It hides you from predators. Evolution spent well over 100 million years perfecting it. And somewhere out on the ancient grasslands, our ancestors quietly threw it away. That is a bizarre thing to do. Giving up fur is like a knight throwing away his armor before a fight. So there has to be a reason. Something out there was worth more than warmth, more than protection, more than camouflage. To find it, we have to go back to the day the trees ran out. But before we go anywhere, let's clear up the biggest myth about your own skin. You are not actually hairless. Not even close. Scientists have counted, and human skin has about the same number of hair follicles per square inch as a chimpanzee's. The factory is fully staffed. It's the product that changed. Here's the trick. Your follicles didn't disappear. Most of them got demoted. Instead of pumping out thick, dark, obvious hair, called terminal hair, they switched to making vellus hair, the fine, colorless, wispy stuff that catches the light on your cheek but hides in plain sight. Same follicle. Tiny, ghostly output. So we never really lost the hair. We miniaturized it. Evolution didn't rip the coat off. It turned the volume way, way down until the fur was practically invisible. And that one detail completely changes the question. We're not asking why the hair vanished. We're asking why our ancestors needed it turned off, and turning it off was expensive. The moment you dial fur down, you lose your blanket. Nights get cold. You lose your sunshade. Days get dangerous. You lose your padding and your camouflage all at once. Evolution does not pay a bill like that unless something is paying it back with interest. For a long time, nobody could agree on what the payback was. Some said it was for swimming. Some said it was to look attractive. Some said it was to fight off bugs. These weren't silly ideas, and we'll come back to a couple of them. But most of them had the same fatal flaw. The flaw is this. None of them explain the strangest upgrade our ancestors got at the very same time. Because we didn't just lose the coat. We installed something to replace it. Something so powerful that today it can pour up to 12 liters of water out of you in a single scorching day. That something is sweat. Real, watery, drippy sweat. And you are absolutely covered in the machinery that makes it. Between 2 and 5 million tiny glands tucked all over your skin, quietly waiting. It's one of the rarest cooling systems in the entire animal world. And almost nobody talks about how weird it is. Here's the number that should stop you. Compared to a chimpanzee, you have roughly 10 times more of these sweat glands. 10 times. Evolution didn't just quietly trim our fur. It went all in on a completely different way of surviving heat. And fur was standing directly in the way, so the coat and the sweat are linked. To understand why one had to go, you have to understand the problem the other one was invented to solve. And that problem begins with a change in the weather. A slow, brutal shift that pushed our ancestors out of the shade and into the fire. Picture Africa, millions of years ago. For ages, our ancestors lived the good life in the forest. Shade everywhere, fruit in reach, cool air under a thick, green roof. In a world like that, a fur coat costs you almost nothing. You're never really in the sun, so you never really overheat. Then the climate turned. Over a long, dry stretch of time, the forests shrank and broke apart, and vast open grasslands spread out where the trees used to be. The savanna. Endless golden grass. Almost no shade. And a sun overhead that does not care about you even slightly. Suddenly, that cozy fur coat becomes a trap. Out on the open grass, the midday sun beats straight down. There's nowhere to hide. And a body wrapped in thick fur, working hard under that sun, has a serious problem it never faced in the forest. It cannot get rid of its own heat. And overheating is not a minor inconvenience. It's a killer. Push your core temperature up just a few degrees and your body starts to fail. Your muscles quit. Your thoughts scramble. Your organs begin to cook from the inside. In the animal world, heat is one of the quietest and deadliest threats there is. Most savanna animals have a simple answer to this. Don't move at midday. Watch a lion in the heat of the day, and it's doing one thing. Lying in the shade. Flat. Doing absolutely nothing. Big cats hunt at dawn and dusk and sleep through the worst of the sun. Heat wins, so they hide. But hiding from the heat means giving up half the day. Half your hunting time. Half your foraging time. Gone. Every single day, just to avoid cooking. Now imagine an animal that could break that rule. An animal that could stay active in the exact hours when everything else was forced to shut down. That animal would own the middle of the day. While the lions sleep and the antelope pant in the shade, it could walk, search, and hunt. With almost no competition. The midday sun would go from being its enemy to being its personal bodyguard, keeping every rival pinned down in the shade. But to pull that off, you'd need to solve the one problem that stops everyone else. You'd need a way to dump enormous amounts of heat, fast, while your body is working at full effort under a blazing sky. You'd need a radiator built into your skin. And a fur coat makes that almost impossible. Why almost impossible? Because of how cooling by sweat actually works. Sweat doesn't cool you by being wet. It cools you when it evaporates. When it turns from liquid into vapor and floats away, carrying your body heat with it. Evaporation is the whole trick. And fur wrecks it. Here's the measurement that ties it all together. Sweat evaporates off bare skin about 2 to 3 times more efficiently than off fur-covered skin. Trap your sweat in a thick coat and it just sits there, soggy and useless. Strip the coat away, and every drop can lift off and take your heat with it. And there it is. The trade finally makes sense. Losing the fur wasn't the goal. It was the price of admission for something better. A full-body evaporative cooling system, the most powerful one in the primate world. Turn the coat off, turn the sweat glands on, and you unlock the middle of the day. This is why we ended up with those millions of sweat glands. They're called eccrine glands, and while other animals have a few, we are absolutely carpeted in them. They spray a thin, watery mist across your whole surface, and on bare skin, that mist evaporates almost instantly. You are, quite literally, a walking swamp cooler. Now, add a second upgrade that fits perfectly with the first. Around this time, our ancestors were standing up and walking on 2 legs. And walking upright does something sneaky in the midday sun. Standing tall, only the top of your head and shoulders catch the straight down rays instead of your whole back. And there's a bonus. Standing upright lifts most of your body up, off the hot ground, and into the moving air. Even a gentle breeze sweeps across bare skin and rips the sweat away faster, cooling you even more. Upright posture, bare skin, and sweat glands all clicked together into one heat-beating package. So what did our ancestors actually do with this superpower? Researchers think it unlocked one of the strangest hunting styles on Earth. Not sprinting, not ambushing. Something almost embarrassing to watch. Humans became the animal that wins a race by refusing to stop. We hunted by walking things to death. It's called persistence hunting, and it's beautifully unfair. An antelope is far faster than a human over a short burst. It bolts away in seconds, and it's gone. But a sprinting animal covered in fur builds up heat fast, and it can only cool down one way, by stopping to pant in the shade. So the human just keeps walking. The antelope sprints, stops to pant, sprints again, stops again. But the human never stops, because the human is sweating the whole time and staying cool on the move. Hour after hour, in the midday heat, the gap slowly closes. The fast animal is being beaten by the patient one. Eventually, the antelope simply can't cool down anymore. It overheats, staggers, and collapses. Not from a wound, but from heat exhaustion. And the human walks up, barely winded, still sweating, still fine. This is the payoff for losing the coat. Our ancestors turned the deadliest hours of the day into dinner time. This is why many scientists put losing our fur near the very center of the human story. The upright body of Homo erectus, built for long-distance travel, the endless sweat glands, the bare skin. They think these traits evolved together as one system, roughly built for a life of walking, chasing, and enduring. Now, a fair warning. This is the leading explanation, not a closed case. Nobody filmed the savannah 2 million years ago. Scientists are reading clues from bones, from genes, and from living bodies, and piecing together the most likely story. It's a strong story. But the next clue is going to make it even stronger, because so far, this has been a story of a brilliant upgrade. But every upgrade has a hidden cost. The moment our ancestors peeled off that fur coat, they exposed something soft and pink and completely unprepared to a sky full of radiation. And the sun was about to send them the bill. Think about what fur was secretly doing all along. It wasn't just a blanket. It was a sunshade, a physical shield soaking up the sun's harsh ultraviolet rays before they ever reached the skin underneath. Every furry animal is walking around under its own built-in umbrella. And our ancestors had just thrown theirs away. On the open savanna, that's a real emergency. Ultraviolet light is relentless out there. It burns skin, and over time, it damages the body in deeper ways, tearing at the DNA in your cells and draining nutrients your body desperately needs. Bare skin under that sky is skin under constant attack. So evolution did something elegant. If you can't have a coat on the outside, build the shield into the skin itself. Our ancestors evolved skin packed with melanin, a dark pigment that acts like a natural sunscreen, soaking up UV rays before they can do their damage. The fur left, and permanent dark skin moved in to replace it. And this is where the story gets a secret superpower, because it lets us do something incredible. It lets us put a rough date on when we lost our fur. How? Because the gene that switched our ancestors' skin dark left a timestamp behind, buried in the DNA of everyone alive today. Here's the logic. And it's clever. You only need heavy-duty dark skin once your protective fur is already gone. So if scientists can date when dark skin became standard, they've found the moment fur was no longer doing its job. And when they read that genetic clock, one number came out, around 1.2 million years ago. That's the estimate, give or take. More than 1 million years before the pyramids, before farming, before the first cave paintings, our ancestors were already walking the grasslands in bare, dark, sweating skin. By that point, the fur coat was, for all practical purposes, gone. Sit with that for a second. The bareness of your skin is not a modern thing. It is over 1 million years old. Your ancestors were the naked ape for an almost unimaginable stretch of time, before anything we'd call history even began. The mystery isn't recent. It's ancient. And it's still written on you. But hold on. If losing fur was such a perfect fix for overheating, one thing makes no sense at all. Why do we still have hair in a few very specific places? The top of the head, the face, the armpits, and, well, the more private regions. If bare skin was the winning move, why keep those patches? And this is where the tidy heat story cracks open, and something messier and, honestly, more human spills out. Because the hair we kept isn't random. Each patch may be doing a different job, and a couple of those jobs have nothing to do with staying cool at all. Start with the head. The scalp is the one place fur genuinely still earns its keep. Standing upright, the top of your head is the single spot, taking the sun's rays straight down, all day. A thick mat of hair up there works as a permanent little sun hat, shading the most heat-sensitive command center you own. Your brain. And that brain is worth protecting, because it runs hot. Your brain is one of the most energy-hungry organs in your body, and all that activity throws off a surprising amount of heat. A big, hot, delicate brain sitting right under the midday sun is exactly the thing you'd want to keep shaded and cool. So the scalp makes sense. But the other patches, the beard, the armpits, the private regions, they're a different story, and scientists are honestly still arguing about them. One popular idea has nothing to do with heat and everything to do with getting a date. It's called sexual selection. I especially as in mineral and friendship purpose as in a good question. The idea is that some of this hair appears at puberty as a kind of signal, a visible flag that says, this body is grown up and ready to have children. On top of that, those patches trap and hold body scent, and researchers think that smell once carried a surprising amount of information between mates. Then there's a completely different and slightly gross theory about why bare skin won in the first place. Forget cooling for a moment. Think about who else loves a nice thick coat of fur. Bugs, fleas, lice, ticks, all the tiny parasites that burrow in, bite, and spread disease. Fur is a 5-star hotel for them. Strip the fur away, and you demolish the hotel. On bare skin, a tick or a louse has nowhere to hide. You can see it, feel it, and flick it off. Some scientists think this was a huge hidden benefit. Fewer parasites meant fewer diseases, and a naked body was simply a healthier body. And here's the twist that brings back your invisible peach fuzz from the very beginning. That fine, wispy, vellus hair you can barely see? Experiments suggest it acts like a bug alarm. It's sensitive enough that when a tiny insect starts crawling on you, the fuzz helps you feel it and swat it before it bites. So which theory is right? The honest answer is, probably several at once. Evolution rarely picks a single reason. Cooling in the savanna sun was likely the big engine driving fur loss, while fewer parasites and mating signals came along as powerful bonuses that helped lock the change in place for good. And once we were bare, something even bigger happened. Naked skin practically forced us to get clever. We couldn't rely on a coat for warmth anymore, so we had to invent our own. Fire to warm the night, shelter to hide from the weather, and animal skins thrown over our shoulders. We replaced fur with technology, and that might be the strangest twist of all. By losing our fur, we were pushed to control fire, to build shelter, to make clothing. The naked ape had to become the inventive ape, just to survive its own bare skin. The coat we threw away may be one of the reasons we started building everything else. So the next time you break a sweat on a hot day and grumble about it, remember what it really is. It's a 2 million-year-old superpower. The same system that let your ancestors run down antelope under a sun that put lions to sleep. You're not overheating. You're using the upgrade that made us human. Lip lives I am cocky nature to fern to the dupod was list. Which leaves one last question for you. We've covered heat, bugs, and beauty. But if you had to bet, which one do you think really pushed us to drop the fur first? Drop your vote in the comments. And if you want to know why we stood up on 2 legs in the first place, that story is coming next.